The grand finals of the 2025 Demon Rush Trading Card Game National Championship. We got Brandon the Holy King versus the Young Zay, making it to the finals here, proving everyone wrong with his evil deck. Best of 5 games. Look at that stare down from Zay. He is so ready for this. Let's jump in. So it's best of 5 games, but only 1 mulligan. So in the grand finals, your mulligan is incredibly important. Brandon going first here. Holy going first is very strong. Evil's a little more comfortable going second because it can use dark cubes and chains and then go to full. And Zay allows the Jork to go off. So Jork, a new card, allows you to search for weak Holy Soldiers, and he gets this Sacred Tortoise, which can go from the cemetery back to your hand by paying 3. And this allows you to get tons of free draws throughout the course of the game. He is a new card. He's an old card that nobody played in the previous national tournament, but after a lot of play testing, and especially with Jork now being able to search him very easily, he is very strong. I mean, when you're in the top decking war and that Tortoise is giving you a free extra draw every single turn, it wins games. And just like that, Brandon essentially just drew 2 cards. So he starts with a massive hand and a Jork on the field. Now Zay could just play a Ghost and run over, but he's going to go for Arcog.
Arcog is 6, team attack is 2.
Team attacks the Jork, but that's okay. Brandon got what he wanted with the Tortoise. He doesn't really care about Jork, and now he also has a soldier in his cemetery for Forgotten Coin. Chains comes out on Arcog. Zay will contradict. Got to keep that Arcog alive.
Church is fine.
Brandon does get his Church out, so he went for Chains first because he would prefer to deal with the Arcog and keep his Church than the other way around. Amulet discarding Dorn for free to get Chains back. Interesting play here by Brandon. So he could have played Church first, it probably would have got contradicted, and then he could have chains the Arcog, but he wouldn't have Church. By doing it this way, he basically got to play Amulet for 1 less Imperium, I guess. Because he could have Amuleted and got the Church back. But he wouldn't have had to deal with the Arcog. Renee comes out for 1. And a second contradict from Zay. So all that work to get the Church out, maybe for nothing here. Divines it for free and plays it again. Dodging the contradict. But Renee can't get through Arcog yet. Brandon has 3 cards in hand. If he doesn't have an answer, he'll probably get Tortoise and use Sorin. But that would put him at 1.
High Desert is a spot where it's like, it's pretty much like the middle of
use Chains again. He chains Arcog even though the Urzen's there. So he's willing to take the -1 just to get those soldiers off the battlefield. And Brandon's gonna smack Zay for 6 health with Renee Sorin buffed by the Church. 24 to 22. And Brandon passes with only 2 cards. I mean, I'm so used to seeing Holy with like 8 cards in hand, so pretty rare that they're low on cards like that. And here comes the Ghost. He's gonna have to sleep here. Yeah, he sleeps to get rid of Renee, and that allows him to draw and replace the sleep. So Ghost and sleeping, putting in a lot of work in this tournament just to get rid of those Renees. I mean, And he's probably just going to Forgotten Coin, get his Renee back here. Yep. See? It's what Brandon does. I mean, those Renees just so hard to get rid of. That's why Bone Mac is like arguably better than Ghost in a lot of situations, because you vanquish the Renee and he can't get it back. But Zay uses Arcog to protect his Ghost. He's going to try and get even more draws. I think that's the right play there.
Pay 3 for Tortoise.
On Tortoise, I fake vanquish Earth.
And Zay is worried that Brandon's going to play something to get rid of his Ghost because he went for Tortoise, but Brandon just passes so that... Okay, so he needed that Imperium to play Chains to get rid of the Church. But notice how Brandon has 5 Imperium and he didn't... I don't think he used Sorin, or did he use Sorin for Forgotten Coin? Another Urzen comes out.
Team attack, crush. Effect is good. I'll apple my Urzen.
Okay, big trade here. Zay trading Apple, Urzen, and Contradict for 2 new cards. And Brandon will lose that Chains. That's why he didn't Sorin, because he needed to keep his Chains on board. But Dark Cube comes out. That's actually huge, because now Zay can get rid of the Renee, and that's going to put Brandon in a really tough spot, actually. That's actually huge for Zay right there. Like, he really won that trade. What can Brandon do to get through that Arcog and 4 Imperium? He's probably just going to have to go for a setup turn here. Yeah, with Church and Sorin, discard Tortoise. Yeah, but he's going to get punched in the face really hard next turn. Can he keep himself alive? And he passes.
Take 12. You'll take 9.
No, I'll take 10.
Yeah, 10.
Takes 10 health damage. And Brandon forgets to use his Tortoise at the end phase.
Pay 3 for Tortoise.
Yeah, now he's just wasting Imperium. Really should have done that on the end phase. Did he just draw Ancient Coin? Yeah, I think he just drew Ancient Coin. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have wasted Imperium on the Tortoise. Now what can he do? How can he get through this board? Yeah, that's not looking good for Brandon. Just too many turns required to set up and not enough offense. But he's probably got a handful of defense. He has a Dorn in his hand, but no Brandon, I can see. And he has to sleep in Arcog just to survive. And he'll take another 10 health damage, but he's still in the game. I mean, health doesn't really matter too much as long as they're still in the game. So if he can draw Brandon... Okay, Zay trying to go for a game here with a Blood Warp play, but Brandon contradicts. So he did have a handful of defense, and he has a body in his hand too. Zay going for a draw here, probably trying to get some defense to shut down whatever Brandon's going to do on his turn, because Brandon here is going to be forced to go all in. And he really desperately needs a Brandon. Still no Brandon. He just drew Pavana. Oh, he had Adriel the whole time. Will that go through? Body goes off, but Brandon will replenish to full. Dorn into Renee. But that's not enough to do anything.
Renee and Sorn and Arco.
Oh. Forces the Arcog and then plays Pavana, but Zay has that Arcog that he sacrificed last turn to keep it alive. And now that Ghost is going to get a free draw. It's really bad news for Brandon here. And Zay has the Citadel. If he's able to get Skeleton, this will just spiral out of control.
Malicious Ghost. Arcot into
Kills the Pavana, gets a free draw. But the thing about Holy is they're never out. Like, if Evil has 1 or 2 cards in hand and they're top decking, they usually lose. But Holy can just straight up top deck Dorn into Brandon and completely turn the game around. Wow, so he drops Pastly and Ghost, gets another draw, wipes Brandon's whole field here. And Brandon not having Adriel would have been huge here. I have no idea how he's going to be able to wipe this board without Rage of the True King or Coffin or something. Probably just Scoop here, yeah. Zay wins game 1. Both players will side. Both mulligans still available. Brandon will go first again. Brandon opting to use his mulligan, and Zay still reserving his. Smiling at the camera because his path to victory and becoming the national champion draws closer.
Jake, how do the mollies work? Do you have 2 or no?
Just one.
They can invest 3 out of 5 or 2 out of 3?
5.
Oh, so then what's
3
the
out of 5. To make it more consistent.
Probably don't need the timer then, right? Because you'll never get with the timer.
Yeah, that's true. It should be like
An hour and a half at least. Last time they just played with no
I'll
timer.
reset it when it goes to 0.
Double Renee opener. Super strong play with a bunch of defense in his hand. And I see a Zadkiel. Looks like 2 bodies in a Zadkiel, I think. Double Urzen coming out. So proc Renee and then get 2 free draws. If he has like a Ghost here or an Arcog, it would be really strong. There's the Ghost. And Brandon allows it to go through, but he will body Ghost effect. Zay contradicts, Brandon contradicts. Ghost will die, and that's actually going to force Zay to burn his second Urzen. But his Ghost still dies. And Zay will contradict Forgotten Coin. He wants to keep that Renee off the board. But Brandon got Jork, which will allow him to get Tortoise and start getting all that free draws for the rest of the game. Or he could get a Dorn if he really wants his Renee back. But yeah, Tortoise is the way to go. It's just, if you get it opening early, it's just insane how many free cards you get. But you have to remember to use it on your opponent's end phase. See, a lot of people forget, and then they're forced to use it on their own turn and waste a bunch of Imperium. Tortoise you can use on either player's turn, and there's no limit to being able to use it.
Discard Tortoise. Pay 3 for Tortoise.
Zay thinking about if he wants to body that, I think, but he allowed it to go through. And see now, Brandon has so many cards in his hand. Bodies the Jork instead of the Tortoise. I like to body the Tortoise because I don't want him getting it back and getting all his free draws all day. But if he forgotten coins for Tortoise and returns it to his hand and then discards it again, because it exchanged piles, it will refresh its effect. Since body on a cemetery soldier like Skeleton or Tortoise is basically permanent unless that soldier switches piles, comes back to the battlefield or to your hand, then it will refresh. So we got Karner bringing out Skeleton here. Does Zay have an apple, or he bloodwarps his Karner? So it seems like Karner was bait there. He's probably going to drop Luxarial here. And then he goes for an apple. And Brandon didn't fall for any of that, saving the Divine. And Zay down to 2 cards. The Blood Warp did literally nothing. I think he was really just trying to get Brandon to use that Divine, and Brandon did not fall for that. Saving the Divine for the apple, and that punishes Zay pretty bad. I mean, Brandon just has so many cards over Zay right now. It's crazy. I really don't know how Zay can win this. He's just incredibly behind.
Bring it back.
You said light darkness is legal, right?
Pass.
Zay just bringing out some defense, trying to stay alive. And Brandon will continue to draw 2 cards a turn. Zay draws to 3, and Brandon has like 7 or 8 cards in his hand, plus Tortoise. I mean, he probably has enough defense to shut down every single card in Zay's hand. Cipasli will get changed. Zay responds with Amulet to try and get an apple, but Brandon contradicts. And Zay will respond with Blood Warp to get his Cipasli back. Going to full. Does not have a follow-up play. And Babel comes out. Now Brandon can start attacking with that Sorin to get rid of Skeleton, meaning Renee's going to start smashing Zay every turn. The pressure is on, and Zay has no cards. I mean, he should just scoop here, honestly. Yeah, he does. Game 3, 1-1. Zay finally gets to go first.
Kakashi?
And
Happy teaching. That's a part.
Especially because, so like for ED, you don't have to teach like regular.
Brandon just not falling for any of Zay's bait. Zay also choosing not to body the Tortoise, although I don't know how much of a difference it would have made. I think he was just out-carded. Like, Brandon just had too much defense. Brandon's deck runs an insane amount of defense. Like, it is disgusting. But that's also why you'll see him, like, drawing and passing, like, 10 turns in a row sometimes. Because he just... Sometimes he just doesn't have a soldier. He runs, like, 3 Renees, a Jork, and 2 Brandons, and that's, like, all of his soldiers. And a couple Angels, I guess, but... Zay gets off a Draw Thief, which is really good, and then His soldier's getting shut down here, but Brandon is burning his hand. He's already burned 3 defense, I think.
Thinking if I want to response 5.
Exodus, sleep, and just Exodus and sleep.
That's Three dead.
Yeah, because he'll pump.
He's Exodus.
I know, but he'll pump though.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Let's
at
go.
5. Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
So because they team attacked into Renee, and the ghost was slept, that forces Rush to crash into Renee. But Brandon, just with those ancient coins, that's the thing, he can burn all of his defense because he just draws so much.
No.
We good? We good?
Yeah, I think so. The Dave's in charge.
Double Renee coming out. So he can triple Renee coming out. Oh, that is just brutal.
I have a couple other friends. One, he teaches.
We're either gonna come straight or we're
Not like grenades versus
I gotta talk to him.
Pass the take. I'm gonna
Probably be starting.
big wall.
see pass.
Able to get rid of one of the Renees. Brandon going to 4 cards. I think Zay also has 4 cards. I see Zay has double chains and contradict here. He contradicts so that because if
Discarding forgotten coin.
wow, that's gross. He contradicted the forgotten coin so that Brandon couldn't play the 3rd Renee because then he can get over Pasley. Otherwise, just 2 Renees is not enough to get over Pasley. So Amulet discarding forgotten coin gets him Renee and Exodus. That's disgusting. And now he can run over.
Attack everything into the.
He sleeps one of them to keep that Pasley alive, and Brandon has the contradict for it. It's not looking good here for Zay, facing 3 Renees, but Brandon does have a live Exodus, so gets rid of 1, but that's still not enough to protect his Exodus Pasley.
Forgotten coins. Wow. Crazy.
Yeah, 3 forgotten coin and 3 Renee. That is just, that's just so lucky. Like, I'm sorry, but that is just such a lucky opener. Like, what are you even supposed to do? Zay is able to shut down the door, and I mean, Brandon is just refusing to let his Renees die. He is just recurring them over and over and over again with Dorns and Forgotten Coins. That's pretty much the whole basis of his deck. Keep out a bunch of Renees, recycle them constantly, and then defend them like crazy with more defense than any other deck in the game. And it gets punishing because you have to waste so much defense to get rid of Renees. You gotta waste sleepings and chains and all sorts of stuff. And when he just keeps getting them back, you just run out of cards.
Exodus 1, Renee. That's fine.
He's gonna Exodus a Renee, and that allows Brandon to just play it again because in the end phase, if the turn player ends and the opposing player plays a card, the turn player can continue their turn and has to end again. And Zay will just scoop, facing 3 Renees, 3 Forgotten Coins, and a Dorn, and a handful of defense. Like, there's just nothing you can do. But that's why we play multiple games in a match. Sometimes your opponent draws God and you just can't win, but that happens in any RNG game. Although Demon Rush is supposed to be the most balanced, the least amount of variance card game, and I believe it is. I mean, it's looking like we're going to go to Game 5 again between Holy and Evil again, just like last year. Brandon abusing that Tortoise every game in these finals so far. Contradict on the Church. And Brandon responds with Prayer Beads while the Church is on the battlefield, allowing him to play it for free and replenish 2, but getting rid of Church is super important. And Zay does not have a draw thief for that Beads, but it would have been pretty big for him. He's going to attack for 12 damage here.
Not when they already got
Urzen just such a good counter to Chains, Exodus, Divine.
They'll just play Renee's and just stun.
You just get the, whenever your opponent uses defense on one of your soldiers or like a Chains or something, you just sack it, and get a +1. And Zay using Exodus on Brandon, no more effect for him. He's about to get vanquished by Bomac, which is huge. I see Brandon does have a body in his hand. I'm sure he'll use that on Bomac. Oh, and Batabat comes out. That's devastating.
Sleep on that.
He sleeps Bomac so that Urzen would crash. That actually forces Zay to sacrifice because he can't afford to lose his Urzen. So Brandon will die, but at least he can get him back with Dorn now and Forgotten Coin if he needs to.
Chains.
Chains on the Batabat. Unfortunately, Zay did not side in Candles, it looks like, and I think that's going to cost him because Brandon just spamming Chains of Destruction like every game this tournament. He runs 3 and he has so much deck thinning. So he just sits back and chains all your stuff, especially your most powerful soldiers. And then once you're out of resources, he whittles you down with Renee's. And look at that, another chains. Blowing up all of Zay's best cards. His Batabat is gone. His Citadel, which is his draw power now, is gone. And Brandon facing a terrifying battlefield of Zay's with... Oh my goodness. So many coins from Brandon here. His Ancient Coin gets Draw Thief, but then he amulets. Discarding Forgotten Coin gets Chains Brandon. But those are some very expensive cards. Can't play the Brandon. Just gonna pass and keep the Chains online. And I think he still has a body as well, so he has double defense live, body Chains.
Yeah, that's disgusting. That's how that's another way.
He's gonna use Chains on the Ghost, interestingly. Yeah, I would just take the damage, but then you could Chains the Apple target. Just use your health as a buffer. Like you know, you don't have to waste stuff to keep your health up. It's pretty pointless. Oh, he has a double Apple. That's nuts. This looks like it could go to Zay. He's been winning most of the trades here.
No.
He was a good. Brandon changed it.
Out comes the Brandon. Effect activates. Will Zay have a Chains or a body?
Chain Dark Cube.
He Dark Cubes the Brandon. He's gonna have to get Arcog here. Anything else will get run over. Does get the Arcog.
Yes.
And Brandon opts not even to attack. The Arcog's just too important for Evil staying in the game. And here comes the body for the Cipastly, and that Contradict is going to be brutal if Brandon doesn't have a response. The double Apple like really helps Zay get ahead here.
Brando.
You're a Tuesday. You never paid for Contradict.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Will Brandon discard or allow his card to die?
Discarding Blade.
He activates discarding Blade of the Champion.
That hurts a lot.
That stings, but he keeps his Brandon alive. Surprisingly, he has not gotten that Tortoise back a lot.
3 for Tortoise.
And he keeps doing it on his turn instead of his opponent's. I think he could have done it at the end of Zay's turn and kept that Imperium.
Yep.
It's the much better play the majority of the time because you replenish as soon as your opponent ends again. Sometimes it's hard to remember, but it's too important.
That's fine.
Brandon activates to pump Renee, allowing him to get through the Arcog. And if Zay has no response, he's going to have to let the Arcog die so he can protect Cipasli with it.
Attempt to kill him with Brandon.
We're killing,
Arco.
So Brandon wants to get rid of the Arcog, not the Cipasli.
Not strong enough. That's
Interesting. I'd probably get rid of the Cipasli, honestly. I feel like he's a bigger threat, but I don't know what... No, Brandon just has Tortoise in his hand? I'm not sure what he has.
That's just Ghost. Team attacking to your Brandon.
And Brandon discards Contradict. Wow. Discards Contradict to protect his Brandon. He's discarded Blade and Contradict. Like, literally the best 2 cards in the entire game. Just to keep himself alive. So this card was modeled after Brandon. He donated a huge sum amount to our Kickstarter, and the deal was anybody who was like a platinum Kickstarter contributor became a card. And Brandon definitely believes in Demon Rush a great deal. He loves the game more than you can imagine. And so yeah, we turned him into a card, a very strong holy card. He's Soren discards Forgotten Coin. Will he get Brandon here? Dropping to 0. Yes, he does.
You'd be at
0. Back.
Zay might have a sleeping, and
Attacking
if
Ghost.
he's able to get rid of the ghosts, but he's not able to get rid of the Cipasli.
It's good.
Luxarial comes out, and it's good. That's probably game.
These draws are out of control.
Although I don't think Zay is running Kalsu for some reason, instead opting for Luxarial. But take it from me, Kalsu is infinitely better. Luxarial is incredibly strong, though. I mean, if she goes off, it's pretty much game usually, too. Luxarial or Kalsu, either one of them, you get them out and their effect is good. It's usually game. Like, having a giant greater being with 5 Imperium for defense is just usually too much. Dorn gets slept.
Pass.
They did that a little bit out of order, so Dorn plays first. Effect activates to rally. Cipasli's trigger to kill acts as your defense spot, in which Brandon uses body, and then Zay can respond with sleeping. He could have slept his Cipasli. He played a little bit too fast there. But that would have allowed Brandon to get Brandon with his Dorn. Probably not worth it. So Cipasli comes out. It's going to allow him to get rid of Renee, and Brandon has nothing, no hand, no field. This has got to be over. And because oh yeah, that's a scoop.
baby.
Wow.
Let's go.
Those draw thieves putting in work. Zay fighting through all of that defense. Brandon being forced to discard Blade of the Champion and Contradict to keep his Brandon alive.
Sword. Or ancient.
No draw thief from Zay for the Ancient Coin. I will tell you this much. Draw Thief absolutely devastates holy decks. And especially, it looks like Zay did not mulligan, I don't think, any of these games. And not opening Draw Thief against Brandon going second, I probably would have mulliganed here to try and get one. It's your one and only mulligan, and if you're able to Draw Thief early, it allows you to keep the tempo, if not surpass the holy tempo of going first. And it's why Draw Thief was created, because holy going first with all its draw power just is kind of a little unfair. But if you Draw Thief their draw power, then you gain their advantage. Especially if it's used on a prayer beats. If they draw and discard Ancient Coin and you Draw Thief, then you're literally just matching cards. Nobody's really gaining any advantage. But if you draw Thief their prayer beads, you're getting a +1. And you're stopping their replenish. So that puts you ahead. Ooh, Zay makes a very risky play here. What is Zay doing? Brandon stopping everything Zay does. See, the unfortunate part, this early in the game, Brandon's just going to have a handful of defense, and you're not going to be able to just play a soldier and apple it. Like, Brandon, his deck is designed to stop apples. Look at this. Brandon just has every answer.
Nice look at the camera.
Wouldn't even let Zay blood warp.
Or spawn with prayer beads. Is that good?
Brandon responding with prayer beads, meaning he probably is out of defense, and he's trying to draw one because Zay replenished to full. Zay really needs to drop Call Sewer Luxarial here, and it needs to go off. Brandon has... He drops Bat-a-Bat. There's one. Oh, my goodness. And Brandon drew. Is that triple chains?
Trying to dead drop it like he had a chance.
He had 3 chains.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, actually. Brandon drawing triples of a lot of cards in this final matchup here. I think it was like game 3 he drew triple Renee, triple Forgotten Coin. It's disgusting.
That was fast.
And that is game. Brandon taking the title belt. Our new national champion, Brandon, the Holy King.
Jake,
2 national tournaments. In both of the finals, it was Holy versus Evil, and in both of the finals, it went to Game 5. Tell me a more balanced game than Demon Rush. Now Brandon must face his final opponent, the creator of the game himself, me.
The Holy King is our new champion.
Brandon gets the belt.
Another blade.
Long time coming. Gets his second blade of the champion. He is stoked.
Oh yeah, we still gotta do that.
Yeah.
The belt, the blade, and the final boss battle.
Dude, another blade.
I mean,
And I
triple J
have
after
bro.
Like, what am I gonna do? Like, what am I gonna do?
gallows points for something.
That's as gross as Brandon has been for late. I don't know how he uses it.
Congratulations, Brandon. I'll see you in the final boss battle coming up.
No, it's all good.
Goodbye to your